Hosted by Derek Hayes, Monsters Among Us is a podcast where listeners share stories of eerie encounters. Hayes claimed to get entries from all around the world and hundreds of calls every week. Occasionally, though, someone will call in with one of those intimate tales. These ghost stories, recounted by real people who experience things they just cannot explain, will undoubtedly make you pause, if not prove that there is more to paranormal activity than meets the eye. This is true whether you think ghosts are real or are just made up for the movies. After hearing these terrifying accounts of unexplained happenings and paranormal encounters, you'll want to keep the lights on while you sleep. Of course, the choice of whether or not to trust them is yours alone. Don't say we didn't warn you though, if you wind up sleeping with the lights on this evening. As always, viewers' discretion is advised. Driving past a cemetery was Dayton, Ohio resident Jeff, along with his 3-year-old son Miles in the back seat of their car. It was a simple cemetery with simple little inscriptions and flowers. Jeff describes it as
basically looking like a giant garden
in Monsters Among Us. Jeff claims that his toddler suddenly stopped singing as they were driving by, pointed at the cemetery and shouted,
"Look at all those people."
Jeff looked around but he saw no one. Perplexed, he inquired about Miles's topic of conversation. His son said,
"All those people over there. There sure are a lot of grandmas."
According to Jeff, he asked his kid what the individuals were doing and felt shivers down his spine. Miles stated,
"They're all standing there, staring down at the grass."
Jeff drove home after the conversation, feeling completely uneasy. Later that day, he claims his little boy went to Jeff while watching TV and remarked,
"You know, they weren't alive."
Jeff inquired as to Miles's meaning, assuming he was talking about the cartoon. His son answered,
"Those people we saw, they were all paused."
Jeff remarks,
"I don't know if my kid has the sixth sense, or if he just has a wild imagination."
Established over a century ago, the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado served as an exclusive retreat for affluent individuals seeking seclusion in the mountains. But as time went on, less people were staying there, and by the 1970s the Grand Hotel was in poor condition. Stephen King, a well-known author, spent the night there around that time and was inspired to create The Shining.
Here's Johnny!
The best-selling book and popular movie contributed to the Stanley's comeback to prominence. These days, throngs of people visit the hotel that served as the inspiration for one of the scariest horror films ever made. It should come as no surprise that many guests claim paranormal activity given its history. Henry Yao, a native of Texas, made a last-minute travel plan in April 2016 to check it out after hearing about the ghost stories. Yao arrived, had dinner, and then went exploring the Stanley to shoot pictures. He stopped at the stairwell, watched for people to move out of the way, then snapped a picture without giving it any thought. But later that evening, Yao became quite sick. He tells Today.com,
"I felt really sick. I had the shivers. I was like, something's really wrong."
Yao declined his companion's suggestion that he visit the emergency room. While driving home, Yao started looking through his pictures when he came across what he described as a
really strange image
of a person standing on the steps, except no one had been there. He joked on Instagram the next day that he had caught a ghost in the picture and the world noticed. Yao found himself in the spotlight almost immediately after his ghost photo attracted the attention of international media sources and paranormal investigators who wanted to look at the image.
Some experts say that there's 2 ghosts, and other people said that the reason I got sick is because the ghost was trying to materialize, taking energy out of me.
He said.
There's so many theories about this.
And what does Yao think?
I have no idea,
he says with a laugh. A military man and his best friend drove 800 miles from Camp Lejeune in North Carolina to Lafayette, Indiana, in preparation for their wedding. When the man tells Monster Among Us, around 1 a.m. on a chilly January night in 2014, the weather is terrible and the temperature is in
the negative double digits.
The two realize they are going to run out of petrol and have no money to pay for more as they get closer to Indianapolis. Growing up in the trucking industry with his father, the man decided to stop at a truck stop. However, due to the weather, the main interstates were shut down, forcing them to search for a truck stop along the back roads. They found a smaller truck stop with one truck, a blacked out truck with a blacked out trailer with no real markings or distinguishable features. They entered, hoping that a server or clerk would give them enough money for petrol so they could reach Indianapolis. After that, they planned to visit the bank, withdraw cash and repay the debt. A waitress, a chef and a lone truck driver were working in the neat diner they discovered inside.
I went inside, talked to this driver, and he bought us a cup of coffee. We sat there and talked for about 30 minutes about what was going on and why we were headed, where we were and what we were doing. And he gave us $20 for gas. I went outside, pumped our gas, came back in, and I told him, "Hey, I really appreciate it. I'll be back."
Fulfilling his promise, the man went back to the cafe after getting money from the bank in Indianapolis.
When we arrive at about 10 o'clock in the morning, it's boarded up.
He says,
"It looks like it's been abandoned for years and the truck's gone, but we had just been in there."
They pull in anyway to find a police officer parked in the lot. They explained what happened just hours before, to which the cop chuckles and replies,
"Oh, you met the ghost of 3.
So, 2 military members conversed, had a cup of coffee with, interacted with 3 people at a diner that had a fuel pump. I got $20 worth of gas.
says the man.
When I came back, it'd been boarded up for, if I remember correctly, the cop said it had been boarded up for the last 25 years.
Andrew Borden and his spouse, Abby Borden, were discovered brutally murdered in their Fall River, Massachusetts home on August 4, 1892. Even though murder wasn't unusual in the late 1800s, it was unusual that their 32-year-old daughter, Lizzie Borden, was the primary suspect and that they were killed by bludgeoning with an axe. The ensuing crime and trial garnered international attention. Even though Lizzie was finally found not guilty of murder, the house where the crime was perpetrated and Lizzie herself will always be associated with the horrific murders. The Borden mansion, which is currently a bed and breakfast and museum, draws thrill seekers and history enthusiasts who want to confirm if reports that the building is haunted are accurate.
When I started working here, it was more of the history. I really didn't care about the paranormal.
Suzanne St. John, a realtor and tour guide at the Lizzie Borden house, tells Today.com. But once, St. John claimed to have had a few strange experiences of her own. Everything changed. She says,
Guests tell us they hear laughing and playing in the middle of the night. Things get moved around.
Additionally, St. John claimed to have personally encountered a few strange occurrences. She once found toys scattered all over a room that had been occupied by no one. St. John describes a wardrobe door that once opened by itself and a painting that toppled over and moved 2 feet across the floor without any discernible reason. St. John claims that she and 2 other tour guides at the home experienced an abrupt, intense, piercing pain in their left eyeballs on the eve of the anniversary of Andrew and Abby's murder, the precise spot where Andrew Borden was fatally injured. The tour guide at the Lizzie Borden residence, who urged a party to turn off their cell phones before starting the tour, is perhaps the most unnerving tale St. John has shared. A guest's cell phone called a few moments later.
"It's my mom,"
she remarked as she raised her head. In response to the tour guide's question about if she wanted to go and accept the call, the woman said,
"She died 2 years ago."
Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. This video is part 1 of multiple stories from Monsters Among Us. We decided on 4 stories for this video as we didn't want to make it too long. If you enjoyed this type of content, consider supporting us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next one.